going to running backs, and since we touched on a running back there, in my opinion, here's the truth's hot take for the week. If you drafted Eddie Lacy, you should be kicked out of any league that you're in.
Deserved too.
I'm just saying it right now. Like, if you draft him and you're like, I don't know, he's with Seattle, I could see Eddie Lacy really coming around. Like, you should just never play fantasy football again.
No, and he still looks fat as hell.
I don't give a shit if you drafted him in the 12th round. You shouldn't be. I mean, there's no way that you should have drafted this guy. There's no way he should be on your team. Even if you were in an auction and someone was like, I'll give him to you for $0. You should be like, no, I need the roster spot.
I saw him go for in literally the 5th or 6th round in a draft, and it made me throw up 3 times and then start laughing hysterically. Just disgusting.
Yeah, that's awful. Anyway, let's talk about good running backs.
Yeah.
6 elite running backs. You're including Kareem Hunt at running back 4, 3 spots higher than the experts have him. Then you got Ty Montgomery, who you've got ranked above Freeman and Gurley. When you say the 6 elite running backs, just real quick, who are they?
So I go Le'Veon Bell, even though it's Minnesota. He's got to bounce back. He's going to catch 6-7 balls this week. They're going to make a concerted effort to get him the ball. Then Shady, Zeke, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, and Jay Ajayi, I think, has a whopping debut. And he's my number 6. So I really love those top 6 this week. I think all 6 of them could have 20-plus point days as true 3-down horses. I love it.
Okay, and then you got Ty Montgomery above Freeman, Gurley, who I know you like all those guys.
And I do love all those guys, but he's 11th. So Ty Montgomery's 11th on the expert consensus ranking, but I have him all the way up at 7. Again, above, Freeman's the big one there. And I look at it, and you saw Tarik Cohen and Jordan Howard. He's facing Atlanta. Those two combined for over 35 points. And Ty Montgomery, 90% snap rate, 23 touches. He's a true workhorse. So if you combine all the touches that those two running backs got for Chicago and give it all to Montgomery, we've seen him explode for 150, 160-yard days before. I think this is going to be one of those weeks where he gets you 25 to even 30 fantasy points. I love Ty Montgomery. One of my favorite DraftKings plays this week as well. He's going to explode. I love it this week.
You and I had an interesting argument that has now been completely nullified. It was maybe a month ago, where you were talking about drafting Zeke in the 2nd round, and I said I would rather have Ty Montgomery than Zeke minus 6 games. And you went off on me and were just basically like, you're an idiot and stuff. And it's like, now that actually looks fairly intelligent if Zeke had missed 6 games, which he's not going to. So now
it doesn't look intelligent.
well, I said I'd rather have him than Zeke minus 6 games. Like, that was the argument, which now is not an argument at all. But my point is, Montgomery looks really good.
He's an RB1. I think you can feel really confident. He was one of my really big week 1 winners, the way he was used and the amount of time he was on the field. I loved it.
All right, middle of the road guys. I know you love Jacquizz Rodgers, and I know you love Tarik Cohen. I'm a little wary about Cohen, not his talent, but it's just like I'm very careful to go all in on a guy who got 5 carries in a game, albeit a guy who went for 66 yards on them.
The skepticism is very fair because he's a smaller guy. Is he ever going to be featured? But we went all in on him on the waivers. We said, if you're running back needy, especially if you lost David Johnson. And I'm very excited to see what he looks like. He just looked so much better than Jordan Howard. You imagine that workload balance is going to start to shift. I really think it is. I could see him outscoring Jordan Howard for the rest of the year. I
certainly could too. That wouldn't surprise me. I'm just scared to go all in yet. All in on waivers, that's different. I could see doing that. But anyway, you went with James White as your middle of the road guy, which I think is an interesting pick because although White did okay this week, Mike Gillislee grabbed all the headlines with his 3 touchdowns. But White, you pointed out, was in most of the plays, and you said he posted a higher success rate. What do you mean by that?
It's just one of those, PFF stats that they kind of spit out. I don't even know exactly what they mean, but it's something about how when he touches the ball, he garnered far more production than what Gillislee did. Gillislee just kind of stumbled into 3 touchdowns, which is, again, the highly valuable thing with him. He's their goal line back in a high-scoring offense, was we projected 15-plus touchdowns for him. But White was the guy, again, the most highly used, and I love that type of situation against the Saints. We saw how much damage that the Vikings did over the middle of the field with high percentage throws and then just run after the catch. That's James White's game to a T, especially in what should be a shootout in the Superdome, like we already said. This guy's going to be in for, I'd say, 50% of the snaps at least. He's going to see at least 6-7 catches. I bet you he gets into the end zone. And those guys you mentioned, Jacquizz, Tarik, I like them more than White, but we're going to talk about Jacquizz a lot in the mailbag. So I thought it's worth highlighting this guy that's going to be a high-volume receiver against one of the most susceptible defenses over the middle in the Saints. So I think James White's going to tear it up. I like him this week a lot.
Sticking with that same game and going to your sleeper pick and basically using the same logic but for a different team, you really like Kamara.
I absolutely do. I mean, he was only owned going into last night at 15% of leagues. I don't know how widely picked up he was, too. He's one of those guys who might have gone under the radar because he was a Monday night player, and all the waiver articles are written usually Monday before those games are played. I didn't have Alvin Kamara in my article as a case in point, and he should be owned pretty universally at this point. Got more carries than Mark Ingram and Adrian Peterson, plus is an absolutely insane pass catcher. So we saw the Patriots getting destroyed time and time again by Kareem Hunt over the middle. I think Alvin Kamara could have very similar success as a guy you could potentially pick up and then plug into your flex and have double-digit points from. I really like him to run wild against the Patriots. Unfortunately, that's my team, but I think Kamara is going to catch 4 or 5 balls, get 5-6 carries, and net about 80 yards and potentially find the end zone. So I really like him this week.
Could totally see that happen. And your guy to avoid at running back, we're talking to you, Grant Cohn, Carlos Hyde going against the Seahawks. Down on Hyde, huh?
Is that bold enough though? I mean, it's Hyde, and we weren't.
It's bold enough because there's people that are really trying to talk themselves into this guy. It blows me away all the time. People are like, I kind of like Carlos Hyde, and I'm just like, I really don't like him. I really don't.
He's ranked 21 by the experts. I have him down at 29. So to make that call a little bolder, let's say Thomas Rawls in that same game, assuming he does play, outscores Carlos Hyde.
I think Hyde. Okay, that's at least a concrete prediction.